touching nothing that I do, I mean no disrespect.
Run that up, yeah.
Guys, I am happy, sad, stressed, and depressed to introduce to you the very first episode of the X's and O's podcast. I go by the name of Obvi. This is the most negative Raider fan in the world, Xavier, and we thought that we would bring together our hour to 2 to 3 hour phone calls about our Raider knowledge and sadness and hope and everything that we talk about, behind the scenes. We wanted to bring it to you guys because we wanted you to feel our pain and we can help you feel yours. The dog that you just seen laid down, this is Tink. This is a Raider dog. She's got her Raider collar on. She watches every game. She will be here every episode, so get used to Tink. You might hear her barking, but that's just because she's fired up for this season. X, how you feeling, brother?
You know, we brought this show to you guys because I'm kind of personally at my fucking wit's end with these guys because it's been about 24 years of deception, okay? The commitment to excellence used to be the brand.
Right.
Where did that go?
Where did commitment to excellence go?
We don't see it anymore. I'm just saying, like, they keep telling us the same thing. We draft people that end up getting incarcerated. Like, we do things that only the Raiders do. No, let me finish, because I can't do this anymore. We talk on the phone. You and my brother tell me I'm negative, when in fact I've been pretty right the past couple of years, and I don't want to be right. I would like to be proven wrong, but at this point, bro, I've come to a point where it's just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, but the incarceration thing is, I have to point that out right away. I'm sick of that. Like,
I'm not even talking about.
They're not like looking at, oh yeah, like everybody that's been incarcerated as of late didn't have arrest records.
I'm not even talking about number 11. I'm talking about the other guy, character evaluation.
Okay, well we're not even gonna waste more than 30 seconds on that guy because he's not even playing in the NFL anymore.
But incarcerations aside, I'm just a little fed up with the way the organization's been ran. But there's optimism for this season because it's about to start. I like the way the defense looks. You know what I'm saying? They just chose Minshew. We will see. I feel like we're in this kind of loop of journeyman quarterbacks. I don't know. I feel like we're kind of addicted to that thing.
I don't believe it's an addiction. I believe it's kind of a choice that they make based off of what's available every year. I believe if you go back and see where we were positioned, we're always kind of too good to get who we need and too bad to get who we should get. Like we've kind of been caught in the middle for a while now, to be able to get those quarterbacks and then that the car range, we didn't have. There wasn't anybody that was like, we weren't willing to go away from Carr. So we missed out we whiffed on a couple of things because we thought Carr was the truth. You did, I did, and I'm pretty sure a majority of Raider Nation thought after that 2016 season that he was the truth and he was a franchise quarterback and that we had to look no further. I believed that. And so I had a desperate and delusional look on Carr for a few years after, to where I just kept thinking, oh, he would show little flashes and throw certain balls where I'd be like, he is going to be the guy again. And
I get it. And I mean, we all did. But let me stop you there. I don't want to look too much into the past.
Yeah, that's
we can
fine.
go all the way back into the 80s.
We got the past out of the way.
Yeah, let's start with the 2024 season.
Yeah.
What is your season outlook for the Raiders this year? What is your, like, if you
wins and losses?
Wins and losses. Tell me what you think about the defense, the offense.
A high ceiling for wins is 12. A low ceiling is 10. That's where I see them. I'm sure a lot of people are going to just absolutely skewer me for those things. But again, I'm going to tell everybody that's watching, I'm a homer. And so there are going to be some delusional takes that come from me, and that's just because I'm so passionate about the Raiders. I'm always going to be that way. I'm always going to look on the bright side. But I do believe that given the roster I'm looking at, the defense that's there, that you can get – I believe that you can get 8 wins off the back of the defense looking at the schedule. Those other 2 wins are going to have to come from Gardner Minshew. The offense has a lot of talent on it. Devontae Adams is still one of the best in the world. Jacoby Myers, in my opinion, is like, if not the best second receiver in the NFL, he's in that category. He's in like the top 3 second receivers in the NFL. He had 10 total touchdowns last year, 800 yards receiving. He threw for 1, ran for 1, caught for 8, and he's a favorite target of Aiden and also Minshew. He's sure-handed, and I'm excited. So it's gonna have to come from them. I believe that this defense can get a lot of low-scoring games for us, to where a guy like Minshew can maybe squeak out a few, and that's what brings me to 10. The 12 range is like, if Minshew plays where we've seen him play at his heights, we're a 12-win team, no doubt.
I think all the best teams in the NFL that you see in the history over the years, they have an identity. So I think that it's important in the early go of the season that we establish some form of identity, whether it's running the ball and playing great defense, or we're lighting that bitch up and letting it go all over the yard and sacking the quarterback and playing stout run defense. I think that we have to establish some form of identity. Under JMD, we didn't really have that. Under Gruden, we did.
We had the identity.
I didn't always
we had an old identity.
We had an old identity. Yeah, but at least we had one. You know what I'm saying? We had a formula for success. It wasn't just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. I think that it's important that Antonio Pierce being a new a new head coach with a quarterback that's been around, with Luke Getsy trying to prove himself again, I think it's important that we establish a certain way of playing football, high percentage football.
I believe, and I know you can't always go off of what happened last year or what was in the past, but I believe that the finish of last year redeveloped the beginning of the identity that the Raiders have played with for the decades before the 2000s. Early 2000s, we were there. We had a couple of playoff seasons squeak in those later 2010s, and the 2022 season, the 2016 season. Those were both amazing moments for the Raiders, and I felt like they were developing. But every single time that they felt like they were developing, something burnt the ship down. And I heard you say something to me earlier where you're like, I'm still on the Titanic, and I am too, and I'll go down with this ship for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter what they do. I'm always going to be here every year believing that they can be great. But, what I see from AP is Raider identity. He represents, and did when he played for the Giants, the identity of the Raiders. And there was a little story that David Carr was playing the Raiders. I believe he scored a touchdown. Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell it the way David did, but he spiked the ball, or he talked some shit, and I guess AP came up to him and was like, "Don't ever do that to my team."
I heard that story.
So years ago, AP was like, he's been a Raider. He's born a Raider. He pulls up in the 6'4". That's a 6'4", right? He pulls up in the 6'4". He's got the jackets on. He's the first Raider coach that has looked that way and represented the Raiders since John Madden, since I guess Al Davis had he was secretly always coaching, but Al Davis is the last one that had that image that made you feel that way. John had a couple of he had a way with us in the beginning and whatnot, but I feel like that died pretty quickly, just given what happened in those years. But I believe AP represents the Raiders more than anything. So identity doesn't start with the team at first. It starts with the coach. And the coach brings that identity in the locker room, and then that's how the locker room develops and builds that. The Raider way is not – it's flash, it's hard-hitting, it's hard-nosed. It's a team full of dogs.
Facts.
Absolute dogs. And Minshew, whether he's playing great or playing bad, is a dog. Max, dog. Jack Jones, dog. Diablo, dog.
Dogs, all dogs. They're all dogs. But it just comes down to, earlier you called me a negative person. I don't mean to cut you off, but earlier you called me a negative person. And I want to state that for the people, that I'm not a negative person in my normal day-to-day life. But when it comes to the Raiders, based on the product they've shown me, I'm just not the most positive. I more so call it how I see it. But this year going into the season, I will say, because we have AP, it feels different. It feels different.
It feels a little different.
Everybody knows it feels different. What you mentioned on it earlier.
Everybody does.
The way that we finished the season going into Kansas City, beating them with Aiden O'Connell
Christmas,
when he didn't complete a pass after the first quarter. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So it definitely feels different. The aura is there. Now we just have to see it on the field. I think that
because there's certain players that represent that, and people haven't matched them. But you'll see, like AP just brought it up recently. He said he used to come in after the Super Bowl, and Max Crosby was the only one that was there lifting. And I'm sure there was a couple other people, but Max was the only one. That's what he said. And then he said now it's a locker. There was 20, 30 people there with Max. Thing. Max got his boys.
Now the culture.
Now it's like we're here to play, and I hate to individually call out, certain coaches and things like that because certain things just don't work out. But JMD was the exact opposite. the exact opposite of what the Raiders were.
Yeah.
And what they have always wanted to be and turn back into. It was like bringing me into
square peg in a round hole, bro.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it was bringing me into like a place where I almost felt crazy. Like I almost felt like this guy's getting paid X amount of dollars and he's making decisions that are absolutely insane. And then I'm over here trying to make sense of it. Like, well, maybe you remember when we seen Jimmy G slide last year for that first down and we beat the Broncos. We're like, all right, Jimmy's got it. We're going to be good. Like, he made me believe some pretty insane things. And I'm happy to see him go. And I'll say that loud and clear. I don't believe the guy will ever have a head coaching job unless it's for a high school team or below. I just don't see him ever coming back to coach a team.
I could see
NFL.
College or an OC position type thing opening up for him.
Sure, but yeah, that's enough about.
Let me ask you this: the other day they named a quarterback. Obviously, you know how I felt initially. I wanted Aiden,
and how I felt too.
And we both felt like that. They went with Minshew. Now, what do you think about that? Because let me give you my thoughts. After I separated my feelings from it, I was like, okay, this guy's a gamer.
Yeah,
he's a gamer. Last year at the end of the season when we needed a win, he beat us in Indy. You know what I'm saying? He can use his legs. That's something we haven't had in a while. Carr was athletic, but he was a little hesitant to run for whatever reason. So like when I look at the stats, he might miss some throws that he should make, but he also makes some plays that he shouldn't. So at the end of the day, he gives us a fighting chance to win. Is he the long-term answer? He has to play into that position, I would say. Right now, I would say no, but if he is, he can show us, and then he'll get a contract that rewards him like that. But as of right now, I'm more optimistic today about the Minshew situation than I was a week ago. How about you?
As far as I want to cover what you first said, as far as him being the future long-term solution, it depends on how you define long-term. If you tell me that he can come and give me 3 seasons like Rich Gannon gave us in the early 2000s, yes, I do believe that I would be happy with that. I would be happy with a plug and play right now, with a stellar defense. And I hate to put it all on the defense, but in years past we have seen some pretty insufferable defenses, and maybe half of that is some bad offensive play. And it usually, that's why this is a team game. There's 11 on both sides, and you gotta have things clicking to really be a team that can go win a Super Bowl. And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what really matters. What I see in Minshew that I'm happy about, that I haven't seen in a Raider quarterback in a long, long time, is moxie. And I pointed that out with Jimmy. Jimmy had mental moxie.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So Minshew has both. Minshew has an attitude. And I don't know if it's the mullet. I don't know if it's the handlebar mustache. I don't know if it's how he portrays himself in the locker room.
Looks like a leader of men.
But he's a leader of men. And I believe that I have to trust that the coach will make the right decision. This is a team. This is not one guy. And everybody always wants to pin it on one guy. Unless it's a superstar, which I don't think he is yet. Hopefully he can become one. But unless it's a superstar, you can't pin it on the one guy. And I'm going to trust the coach because it starts there. It starts with the coach. You always believe that it starts even higher, which I do believe that has a little bit to do with it. But if you can get a guy that can lead the way that some of these other coaches came in, the way the Texans turned around, the way the Lions turned around. Mm-hmm. You got a couple of players, coaches that can honestly get people to play for him the way that I believe AP did towards the end of the year. I truly believe that Minshew is the right fit for a guy like AP. That all makes sense because this year in the draft, I looked at it. You have to take Brock Bowers. You can't take anybody else. And I know I talked to you and your brother about like a Rattler or a Milton later, but see, I told you she would get hyped up. But I'm not willing to bet it all on that either, and I'm not willing to use draft picks to take that gamble. Today the Raiders need a sure shot because 24 years of absolute depression and misery. I want a sure shot. In the NFL, nothing is sure. Tomorrow, the quarterback can get hurt for any team, and it can shift the way that this league goes. And but a long story I'm trying to make short now is, yes, I believe that Minshew can be the guy. I believe we paired him in the right situation. He's never had talent like this, and I'm excited to see what he can do week 1 against the Chargers. Week 1 is where it happens, and that's what I'm excited for, bro. And I know that I do this every year, and I sit here and shake my head and kind of get a little sad just thinking about all the wrong things that I've said in the past. But I'm here to remind you that I'm going to always be positive. I'm always going to believe that they can be great. And
no, there's no one way to approach it. I'm not mad at your positive approach. That's okay. One day. My new thing is one day. And so earlier you were talking about the defensive side of the ball. We have a very special someone on the defensive side of the ball that we haven't had, well, since Khalil, but prior to that, in a very long time, maybe since Charles. His name is Max Crosby, and this year he made it known that he's gunning for the defensive MVP. I think it's within reach. They just did the top 100 list. He was 10. I think that's 9 spots too low, if you ask me. Maybe that's me being a homer. But what do you think about Max and our defense? What do you think about his chances of becoming a defensive MVP? That means he would have to beat out the likes of T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, fucking Sauce Gardner. You know, the Jets have some chances to make some plays this year.
I mean, shout out to there's a lot of great defenders in this league, but none of them are named Max Crosby. None of them have the energy that Max Crosby has. None of them has the ceiling, I believe, that Max Crosby has. I believe that Max, and a lot of players are going to always want to be great, but I just believe that guy dedicates more of his life to football than I think I've ever seen any player, especially for the Raiders. I've never seen any player dedicate like him and be so locked in. I mean, that man is locked in, and we've seen it little by little. And, you know, his rookie year, I seen it a couple times. And when he injured himself and casted it up and kept playing, I knew it. I had that feeling in my gut that Max is going to lead us back to the place that we were used to being as kids. And I believe that that's why this defense is going to be so great, is because you have a guy like him that is such a great leader and shows you that he, like playing injured last year, like the guy just like doesn't give up. And he won't stop putting his foot on your neck. And that is where the identity starts to bleed back into everybody, and everybody starts to believe in this again because you have a guy like him. And then you add a guy like Christian Wilkins, you add a guy like Jack Jones, and you add a couple of people that are just like, and shout out to Epps. Epps came in and became a great safety. I mean, I think him and Merrick, they gave up like one touchdown or something, one passing touchdown last year. It was an absolutely astronomical stat where I was just like, this is incredible. And so you add guys like that, and I believe that's where the defense is going to shape into something that we have never seen. We have never seen. We personally have never seen. Maybe some of the older fans that are watching, you have seen some great defenses. I know my dad has seen some great defenses, like the 76 Raiders, the 83 Raiders, both had great defenses. But and we had some flash. We had a couple of like moments of players and times.
This is gonna sound crazy, but I think this nigga Max has the chance to be better than Howie Long, bro. Like he can really be the one. Like
there was a stat that and there was a stat that I think my dad brought up on the phone the other day that Max can beat. I think it's his sack record. He's already on pace to beat it. I don't need to get in. I love Howie. But yeah, Max,
and I mean that with no disrespect.
Howie's a Hall of Famer, you know, and we got a lot of Hall of Famers. I think we're top 3 in Hall of Fame players, but Max is already, in my opinion, gold jacket.
He's on his way.
He's on his way. Yeah. I mean, 1 or 2 more seasons like he's already had.
Earlier, I brought it up Khalil Mack. I don't mean to be biased, but I think that he might be better than Khalil because he plays the run too. Like, and not to mention, like, bro, that nigga listen to trap music. Mack,
come on,
Max is good at the barbecue any Sunday.
Max is one.
Let it be known here today for all of you out there. If the racial draft ever happens, we will trade Russell Wilson for Max Crosby, and we would like to accept it on the.
And on behalf, we are not trading Max Crosby. We need him. No, that's really funny.
But Max, bro, he's really the realest one. I think that he's Gruden's guy. Shout out to Gruden and Mayock. They left him with
Max
us.
is an Oakland Raider.
No, facts. No, that's what I'm saying. He's out the mud. You know what I'm saying? Like he's an Oakland Raider. He's really been there. You know what I'm saying? He took the torch from Carr and he's kind of carrying it.
He absolutely.
He's our guy. You know what I'm saying?
He absolutely knows exactly how to embody what we need. He needs to give it back to Al, and we need to get the power from Al this year. We need to get the power from Madden this year, and we need that to come back into the fans' blood and get us boiling again and get us back to where no one's in our stadium anymore. And the only way to do that is to win, to just win, baby. That is the only way to get everybody to believe. You could talk about all these stats. You could talk about the players, the rosters, the coaches, the energy in the locker room. All that means nothing. You got to win.
And you want to know one of the easiest ways to win in the NFL?
What's that?
You run the football. And we have a new running back this year. So let me ask you a question. Raiders, we're used to Marcus Allen. We're used to Bo Jackson. May he rest in peace. He's not dead, but you know what happened to his career. Josh Jacobs, Darren McFadden, we had flashes. Justin Fargas, okay, we've seen some guys that we liked. Some were better than others. We have a new running back from Georgia. They call him Zeus. He's built like a horse. He rides horses. He's country strong.
Hey.
What do you think of Zamir White? Because let me tell you what I think about Zamir White before you tell me.
Go ahead.
He might be one of those guys because we've been missing speed, bro. He's got some speed. He has home run hitting speed.
How big he is,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He has truck legs. He looks like he could be the guy.
Remember during the like off season, I sent you a picture of him on the horse, and I said 70 touchdowns and 11,000 yards. Like,
and I sent you. He looks like a centaur because he's like, bro, he's the biggest human that I've ever seen on a picture. I mean, I just think that he might be the one. And let me set the disclaimer that I love Josh Jacobs. I was sad to see him go. You know how much it hurt my heart when he left.
My heart too,
But we have to look forward. The running back position, for whatever reason, they don't value it. So we had to move on.
They value it, but they value it differently.
Than what it used to be. Yeah, absolutely.
And 20 years ago, Josh is getting one of the biggest contracts. You know, Le'Veon, I think, was the last one to get that big contract. But I believe that what you've seen in Zamir last year, there were just like I hate to say flashes because flashes aren't that's not how you sell somebody. But it kind of is here and there. Like if you could see, okay, like at the end of that Chiefs game where he just put the game in his hands,
facts,
like, that's the guy. And you know, I believe that Zeus can be one of the top backs this year. I believe a top 10 is not out of this realm. And if our offensive line can play how they kind of did towards the tail end of last year, I believe he can squeak into the top 7, top 5 range because, you know, there's a lot of great running backs in the league. In my opinion, every team has one that can get it done. And I just believe Zamir is built to do it. And I believe that what he did over in college, over at Georgia, I believe that he showed me, like when I was watching his film, because – you know, every year I'll try to like, you know, go in and watch the top like 25 guys and just kind of like Zamir showed like things that I was like when we drafted him, I was excited. I was like, I really hope this guy gets a chance. But it's hard to like give a guy a chance when you got Josh. So it's like we gave him some chances last year and he showed us that I think he can do it. And I think that's why they let Josh walk because Zamir showed he can do it. So do I believe he can be good? Yeah, absolutely. And I think the coaches do too.
It's safe to say that we're both feeling Zamir. Pause. But like, you know what I'm saying? Let's look a little forward. I want to know what you think about Chargers week 1.
Chargers week 1.
Give me Chargers week 1. How do you think it's going to go down? They got a brand new coach. They have a quarterback with no receivers, and that's not me being biased.
No,
brother. Josh Palmer. If we can't guard those guys,
we're due. We're 0-6 at SoFi. So we're due. We're due by the gods to win that game. I believe that I've watched I'm a big Harbaugh fan. I was a Harbaugh fan when he was coach of Stanford.
He's the only person with a chin bigger than mine.
I think he did well at San Diego State, did he not? I think he ended up winning 11 games over there, and then he came over to Stanford and he won there and brought that program to a competitive place, and then he came to the Niners and brought them to the Super Bowl and to some championships and to a competitive place, and honestly was 5 yards away from winning a Super Bowl, and then he brought Michigan to a championship, which is a place they hadn't been in a long time. And so I'm a big fan of Harbaugh, and I believe, but what I've noticed is his patterns takes a little while.
Yeah.
I don't think he's just right away. I believe he's like a Gruden. He's an old school mindset. He likes to run the ball 745 times a game. And I believe you have seen that yourself as a fan over the years, that when you look at a Harbaugh, it's patience with him.
Yeah.
He's not. And so I believe that the Raiders are a little bit more together and have been together a little bit longer and have a little bit more experience as far as what we can do week one, because we've kind of all been together. There's not that many new faces. We've kind of been together for a little bit. So I believe we start out with a 1-0 season. We have a pretty difficult start to the schedule, in my opinion. We got the Ravens and Browns within the first 5 weeks, both very competitive playoff teams. And but I believe we get a week one win. I can't lie.
You see me, I'm trying not to laugh because we're speaking about the Chargers, man. Those guys, it's hard to take them seriously because they don't have any Super Bowls. They have no type of prestige, legacy, or any history.
They literally have 0 rings.
And so they're always in a peculiar position. They always have Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right? Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and then we'll see whatever this guy Herbert becomes.
Herbert's good, but again,
we complain about having Jamarcus Russell and Aaron Brooks. These guys have the guy that can do the job, but they can't get it done. So when I see this Chargers
I've always
team,
thought they have it worse than us. I got to pull something up. I don't know how quick I can find this. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of different fans. We got Raider fans and Cowboy fans and Niner fans and Packer fans in this group chat. But they sent me something that made me sick, and I need you right here, brother. Most losses since 2000. The Browns have 250-plus losses. All right, so they got it worse than us. But the Lions, Jaguars, Raiders, and Commanders have 225-plus losses since 2000.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. As I laugh at the Chargers, that stat is insane. But
it's insane, right? That's sickening.
Since 2000, they've done better than us, but they don't have the history like we do to rely on. So I will say, I like you, I'm expecting a week one victory because it's a brand new coach. I know that AP it's his first time, but
it's not really his first time, He just
he just did his thing. But Harbaugh's back with the new squad, new quarterback, new offense. It's going to take a while. I'm expecting a 1-0 victory.
I expect
as well.
the Chargers to be a very competitive team within a few years. And when I mean competitive, I mean good. Our division is truly back to being the Wild Wild West. Because if Peyton can get Bo Nix going, I don't want to talk about the Broncos and the Chargers and the boogeyman over with the Chiefs, but it's going to be a competitive division, and the Raiders better be ready to bring it. I think the Chargers are absolute ass. I think the Broncos are absolute ass, and I think we figured out how to have the Chiefs card. And they're always going to be good with Pat. Pat is a great quarterback. We got to call it how it is, but he's still a bitch. And the Chiefs are still a bunch of bitches, and I don't care about them. So I'm waiting for the Raiders to show them exactly what we can become. If in a year, we're wrong and all these takes are horrible and we're delusional, it's just a part of the 24 years of lies. And that is something that you have been saying to me for a couple of weeks now. You kept saying 24 years of lies. And their text messages, I wake up to them. Remember I told you the other day, I said, honestly, brother, do not text me negative stuff about the Raiders anymore. He
got so mad at me.
I was genuinely mad.
He was really pissed. I could feel the vibes coming through. I was like, bro, I am just being the same person I always am. It's not my fault the product that they are putting on the field isn't what we want to see. I'm just calling it how I see it. So you guys should know I'm also a fan of a soccer team called Real Madrid. So it's a crazy dichotomy because they're super successful. So to see the Raiders be bad for so long, it's just hard to give them a pass.
And I'm a Warriors fan.
No, and I get it.
But I'm not going to sit there and compare a bunch of wins and championships into a whole different sport.
No, I get that. I feel like there should be a rule after like a quarter century you can, like, so like 25 years,
right.
then we can, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like soccer. You got 735 chances a season to win some sort of championship.
No,
so
I know, and
like,
I'm not here to do comparisons, guys. You guys know this is it's not a podcast. It's actually just therapy for us. So that's what you're hearing.
This is Raiders.
This
therapy.
is us, Raider therapy.
Yeah.
This was our last straw.
I don't even care if this got 1 view or 100 million. I have to do this to have sanity this year.
I want to keep it rolling though. I want you to just give me a quick tidbit on what you think Jack Jones can become, because I told you, I text you, I said he might be the best corner we've had since Nnamdi.
Superstar. I don't need to get into it.
Absolutely,
superstar.
yeah. I think
Can he be a superstar? Absolutely.
I think we're
his
looking at
IQ,
Pro Bowl, All-Pro.
His IQ on the football field. Honestly, it's been I guess since Nnamdi. Nnamdi was just like an insane coverage corner. This guy Jack is like, he looks like a genius out there, and has made a couple of plays where I'm like, man, this guy is special. And I almost felt like it wasn't true at first. Like when he had back-to-back weeks with pick sixes, I kind of like was like trying to wake myself up every day, like thinking, is this really
This
like?
real? I know,
did we
never
just
seen
like
that.
swoop this fool up? Like, do we have to pay him? Like, how much money does he have? Like,
No, it feels too
what's
good to
going
be true,
on?
kind of.
What is he gonna? What's gonna happen to this guy? Like, is this what happened? What happened is we brought a guy in by the name of Antonio Pierce, and he's seen him and said, I know that kid. I coached him in high school. I coached him in college.
Yep, facts.
And I had a buddy that played quarterback for Arizona State, Manny Wilkins. And Manny Wilkins, I had texted Manny and I said, what do you think about AUP? He said, you guys got one. And I trust Manny. Manny was a great quarterback for Arizona State.
Manny.
Yeah, and he had some time with the Packers, and he's currently with the St. Louis Battlehawks over in the XFL. But a great quarterback, absolutely phenomenal quarterback. And I wish that we could have him on our team as part of our depth. That would be amazing. But anyways, he told me we got a guy, and I trust Manny. And Manny's got a lot of great knowledge, and he knows football, and he played for him, and he played for Herm. He played for some great coaches, and I have a belief that part of the reason why certain guys are going to turn into superstars is because of who their coach is. Imagine going from a coach who wants you to do it his way from a coach that will let you do it your way, and that's the Raider way. And so I'm looking forward to Jack Jones and watching him develop into an all-pro. I'm calling all-pro corner this year.
I kind of feel the same way. Once he made that play against Mahomes and stared him down, bro, I'm like, wait. I was like, wait a second, this guy's
called him. No, he called him out before the game,
and then made the play,
and
then stared him down.
He called him like the magician or something like that. Like there was some sort of like trash talk, and then he puffed his chest out and fucking stood on business, bro. I love that shit, bro.
So we're both in unison. We're in unison. Jack Jones, all
That's
pro
where
season.
we can agree with each other for sure.
Okay, now let me ask you this: how have we beat the Broncos as many times as we beat them, but we're still picked to finish last in the division? Is there some sort of like narrative?
Raider bias,
right?
It started years ago. I think you can go back. And a lot of Raider fans know this, and I don't want to make this a podcast full of nostalgia all the time, but I've always loved this.
You have to go back.
It was after winning the Super Bowl in Los Angeles, after them saying that he couldn't move there, and you can kind of see Pete talking about how great the other team. I think it was the Redskins championship. I'm almost positive that it was the Redskins one. He's talking about how, because that Redskins team was great. They had won so many games in a row, and were just like picked to just pulverize us in that Super Bowl. But you could see Pete just kind of like talking about it, and then like you got Al Davis just kind of like brings the attention back into the camera and was like, "Just win, baby." And that's where, and I think I might have just butchered that, but I don't think I did. I think I got it right. I believe that's where the bias started. The bias started way back in the day when we wanted to move to L.A. He had found the site where the now SoFi Stadium is and was bullied back into Oakland, where they sent us to die. And I love Oakland. I'm from the Bay Area, so this isn't a shot at Oakland, but Al deserved to be where he wanted to be. He was one of the pioneers in getting teams to move when they need to move and to make more money for this league, because this league would not be what it is. You wouldn't have these flashy quarterbacks. There were guys working second jobs back in the 70s and 80s, and Al Davis is one of those guys who brought it back. And So I believe finishing last is always we're always going to get picked to be bottom of the barrel until we start winning.
I'm just making sure I'm not crazy because I thought there was a bias against us the entire time. You kind of see it with the PI calls, the holding calls at significant times of the game.
At the times, now we're like a little bit of a lower penalized team, but it's always at the wrong time.
I just wanted to make sure that I'm not paranoid because like I saw all the analysts on ESPN, NFL Network, Yahoo pick us to finish last time. I'm like, how?
But the thing is,
I get it's not winning the division.
The thing is Raider fans, like, this is something that I learned over the last like few years. Like, we got to understand there's other teams that have those biases too, and other teams that get horrible calls, and there's some teams that kind of get lifted above the others and get really good calls, including the Chiefs. Like, I'll just straight up say it, they get these opportune calls. I cannot stand the Santa Clara Niners, and last year they got in that Super Bowl, they got bamboozled a few times on some horrible calls. Like, had they called some holdings on Bosa, and the Bosa was like in there every play almost, and just they didn't get the call. So there's other teams that have bias, but
Facts.
we don't need to get into that. This Raider bias is real, but the tune changes when you win, bro.
No,
because
facts.
back in 2016, I remember reading an article, and at the end of it, it said the NFL is a better place when the Raiders are winning. And it is, because we have such a strong fan base
brand,
that is in the strongest brand. It's the #1 brand in sports. And I'm talking about just pure brand. I'm not talking about who's worth the most money. I'm talking about brand. The Raiders are a brand. We were the first to become a brand that people wore our colors even if they didn't even know a single player on the team. So start winning and represent that brand the way it should be represented, you know?
So I think when I look at it, we are the biggest brand, but the way to fortify the team is with defense. And when I was looking at the scope and I looked at the teams that we've had over my entire life, I thought back to Gannon. I thought back to 2016 with Carr when Khalil Mack was going crazy.
Right.
And I really would like to say and declare that this might be the best defense that we've had with the addition of Wilkins and the way that our guys are developing.
Wilkins,
this might be the
Spillane is. I love Spillane with all my
heart. The corners
man.
We have, I like Bennett. You know what I'm saying? I think this might be the best.
I love Nate Hobbs is another
Nate
one.
Hobbs is a dog.
Like,
Merrick's a dog. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Epps, as you said earlier, is a dog. Divine Diablo, we expect him to pop this year. This might be the best defense that we've had, led by Max Crosby, bro. Because we haven't even spoke about Malcolm Kuntz, who had 10 sacks last year.
Kuntz came in his
Tyree Wilson, we're expecting him to pop. Like, last year we were a top 10 defense. I think that even this year we could take it one step further. Like, we've always had guys that were Hall of Fame level, Charles or Namdi, but we've never had a sum
multiple.
Of multiple players flying
I was
going to
say that earlier when we were talking about Jack. I was like, we're going to have multiple All-Pros this year. This is going to be the first time that we have it in a long time. I'm really looking forward to it. And you know, something that I'd like to point out about this podcast is this is honestly just a conversation that we kept having on the phone, and we're like, let's just give it to other people so people can kind of feel our pain. It always won't just be a bunch of talking points like this. A lot of it's actually going to be sometimes we're going to do like watching the game together, and maybe even an instant reaction, kind of like the old Fifth Quarter show that they used to do in the Bay Area with Romanowski, and I would just feel his pain. I want to bring something like that, and you know, there's a lot of great Raider personalities out there. My boy Murph, Raider Cody, Samoan Raider. Like, there's some really great personalities out there that do a great job of like, when I'm having a bad, you know, day after a loss, or even like uncertainty after a win, or like a coaching change or a quarterback change or whatever, those guys make me feel better.
Raider Cody always cheers me up, bro.
He's so positive. He's so positive. He's like
so
me. I
positive.
relate to him. I relate to Murph too, because Murph. Shout out to Murph. Murph's the man. But Murph is also a very positive guy, and so is a Samoan Raider. He's a positive guy too. All us Raider fans try to be positive.
I was about to say, to be a Raider fan, you kind of have to have a special something inside of you.
It's not for the faint, bro.
It's not for the faint of heart at all.
Not even close. And you know, I truly believe that this will be something that. This will be a season that turns it around and puts us in the right path. I've been waiting for this literally since 2016, because that other little fluke of a playoff appearance that we had, that was a miracle, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But that 2016 feeling when we were dominating and winning all those late fourth quarter games, that was I think I cried on my way to the first playoff game, that even with Connor Cook at quarterback. I think I cried on the way there. Yeah, I was so emotional. Like, I was so happy to like watch my team in the playoffs. Like, I didn't care what it was. I was just so happy, and because I was there when Carr broke his leg, And
yeah, no, we've been through the ringer.
Live in person.
We've been through the ringer, guys, and that's
Yeah.
why we wanted to get together and bring our conversations from the telephone to you guys directly. Feel free, like, if you guys want to tap in with us as this thing grows. If you guys have topics or things that other people aren't covering that you want us to talk about,
we'll talk about it.
We are
all.
very abstract. We don't give a fuck. We will discuss it because we just want to know what you guys think. Like I said, this is therapy.
You said something earlier. You said, I'm going to go off feelings, not stats. And because like I could pull up stats to like support certain arguments and things like that, and we will cover like actuality this year too, but this is more so a feeling based.
Yeah, this is all feelings because you can paint any narrative with facts. You can go numbers and say Jimmy Garoppolo's a good quarterback with facts, but my feelings tell me he's shit, and I saw it, and he is shit. Respectfully, make all the money you want.
I'm the one I called him a dog.
Yeah, you called him a dog. I called him shit from day one. We don't have to say who was right because at the end of the day, we just want the Raiders to win, so it's okay.
You were right.
But at the end of the day, we're going with feelings over facts.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you got to trust your gut.
Feelings over facts is the top that's the standout of this for me. Feelings over facts.
Feelings over facts.
I absolutely love that. That's the tagline for this episode.
When you guys go into your everyday life,
the X's and O's
that.
podcast, this first episode is titled Feelings Over Facts because we've had a lot of fact-driven arguments, and honestly, I'm usually the one who's with the facts, and you're usually the one that has the feelings. And I think I think we should try to reverse that this year. And maybe I go a little bit more off my gut instead of just being like, well, he played in a championship. And if I'm always like trying to bring up shit, it's like, fuck, this guy is absolutely insane. My friends think I'm absolutely delusional. Like, absolutely delusional.
But that's what we're here for.
They think I'm nuts, bro.
We're all about to grow together. We're all going to grow together. You know, right now, we're all going to grow together because I'm right there with you, brother. And I'm sure you guys out there are in similar positions with other teams, or if you're a Raider fan, you're right there with us. But we are all going to grow together.
We're going to grow together, and we're going to start winning again. And this nation is going to be strong again. We're going to black out that stadium. Our coach is going to be a winning coach. We're going to get back to hoist that Lombardi Trophy. We're going to win our 4th Super Bowl. I don't know with who, but I believe that we have the framework now. I believe that if Minshew can step up and just be that dog, the one that I've seen throw 4 touchdown passes in a game before and have that spark, the Minshew mania, and he actually brings that Minshew mania, why not us, bro?
Ladies and gentlemen, grab a seat. Buckle your seats. This is the pilot. We're getting ready for takeoff. And you guys better get ready for a motherfucking ride. We don't know how it's going to go.
2024.
This shit could crash
hopefully
by
2025.
week 4. It could crash by week 4, but we will be here. I'm just going to let you know. Hey,
it's not going to crash. We have a hard schedule, but like I've seen crazy things. I've seen crazy things in my life, and this is. I love what you said. This is the pilot, but we're going to take off. And I don't even mean this podcast, this channel, nothing. I just mean the Raiders because that's what this is all about. That's what it really means to me because I remember we shot a pilot last year. Incredible, actually. I thought it was so good. Our creator over there to the left of us, his name's Billion. He's the guy that's behind the keyboard, the guy who sets all this stuff up. And he's a Niner fan, which is actually probably part of the reason why we lost last year. No, I'm just kidding. He's been supportive over the years for me. Like, how'd your Raiders do today? He's not one of those like shit talking Niner fans that we fucking can't stand because we grew up in the Bay where that's the real rivalry is the Raiders versus the Niners. We hate each other, but we have support for each other. This was actually his idea. He said let's no more talking about Raiders in front of me unless we film it. So shout out to Billion. But this is gonna be a part that I actually just decided that we're gonna do like right here in the moment. We're gonna do like a fire off on remaining things that you want to talk about, and we're going to spend no more than 30 seconds with pretty much a yes or no response or something quickly or what we think about something. So go ahead and fire me. This guy over here is just great at topics. He sent fantastic topics that we're talking about today. All came from my co-host over here, the most negative Raider fan on the planet. That's his tag. Go ahead. Let's fire some off. Fire a few off.
All right. Let me get your thoughts on Tyree Wilson quickly.
Tyree Wilson, I believe, will shape up to be a good player. I believe right now he's leaning towards the Cleveland Farrell, and I do not want that to happen. So I'm not going to jump ship yet. I'm going to give him this year to develop into a good defensive lineman, and we'll see where that goes.
They went with my boy Snake Eyes, Nick Cage, to play John Madden. What do you think about that?
There's a couple roles where I love Nick so much, like what's that one, The Lord of War, where I believe that.
What's the one where you're hunting for treasure?
National Treasure 1 and 2, to the greatest movies
ever.
ever.
I was about to say the sequel's going crazy. I was in theaters watching that.
I honestly believe that it is, when it comes to certain legends, it's very, very hard to cast. And to cast for John Madden, you could only cast John Madden. Rest in peace, John Madden, the most colorful coach and commentator that we've ever seen in this league. But I believe that Nick Cage is going to do a fantastic job because he gets the opportunity to play one of the greatest minds, one of the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest coach ever. I have Andy Reid and I have Belichick and I have a couple other guys in there, but the greatest coach ever, in my opinion, is John Madden, and I'm so excited to see what Nick Cage. Hey, Nick, don't fuck this up, bro. We care so much about John. John is the beginning of our glory, and we need you to do a good job, Nick. So,
come on, Nick.
Fat suit and all, brother. Fucking kill it, please.
We're going to let you come to the barbecue. Don't fuck this up.
Come on, brother. This is your chance to get at the barbecue, because if not, you're going to come to my house where I'm going to pour you a bowl of cereal.
They're going to hit you with some carrots and celery. You're going to be eating right. You're going to fuck around and lose like 10 pounds.
Okay, a couple more.
All right. They're saying that we're going to get Dak in the offseason, a.k.a. Black Derek Carr. What do you think about that?
That was I tagged that last year. No, I don't like that at all. I do believe that Jerry Jones is what's holding them back from winning a Super Bowl, but I don't want to pay $60 million Dak Prescott.
I'm out.
Move on. We're done with that. I'm so off that.
I'm so far out.
It's like when they teased that Russell Wilson shit, I was like, please, God, I believe in God. And I was like, please, God, please don't let Russell Wilson sign with the Raiders. I would rather watch Jamarcus Russell make a comeback than watch Russell Wilson in silver and black. That guy is so fucking bland. And I don't care. Russ, you may be a good person, but you are a bland quarterback, and I cannot have you suiting up for the silver and black, brother.
And lastly, I got to ask you, there's been speculation in the draft next year that we might fuck around and put the wrist up. Do you want Shedeur Sanders as the Raiders quarterback next season?
My initial thought was no. After just taking some time to like
perfect time.
Yeah,
you heard the song and shit.
Yeah, God. Just thinking about what Deion was to the NFL, and how incredible he is with men. I know that he raised his sons right, and his family right, and I know that his son has attributes that I haven't seen in so long. In a quarterback that it's like incredible. It gives me Michael Vick feeling. It gives me the feeling of like a Pat. It gives me a feeling of like a guy who could literally make I watched a couple plays last year where it was just like magic. It was magic. So I would do absolutely anything to get him. Even if Minshew has a great season, I think you get him and sit him behind Minshew.
Thanks.
And you know what? I have to say this before we get off. I have to say, Aiden O'Connell, I still believe that he can be a good quarterback in this league. And if he gets his chance, I believe that he will do a good job to prove it. He got his chance last year, but he was young and thrown into a fire. I believe that Aiden can be a quarterback. If not a good starting quarterback, a great backup for years to come. I believe that he's a great, accurate passer, and I just wanted to shout him out. But
and before I let you close this out, earlier I said a thing. I said that this is a pilot, and I said if we crash, but I never got to finish my point. If we crash, we will still be there. I'll be in the cockpit. I'll have a blunt.
I'm going down with the ship.
Tequila to the neck. We will be there regardless.
I'm going down with the ship.
But like we said earlier, this could be a season where we soar into the atmosphere.
And you know what?
I just wanted to finish that off.
You know what? We're gonna do this. This is rogue. This is the rogue way of doing this. Okay. And I'm only gonna do this because this is what gives me the feeling that the Raiders are gonna be good. And this will always give me the feeling.
There's a feeling in the air right now.
Just wait. I'm pulling it up.
There's a feeling.
I'm pulling it up.
I see Raider fans.
This is how we're signing off. Okay. This is how we're signing off.
You can feel it in the air.
You ready?
The autumn wind is a pirate. Blustering in from sea.
Hear that?
Ah, get the chills.
With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously.
I'm gonna walk down the aisle to this
His face
shit.
is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash.
My girl.
This is
Timmy.
Minshew. This is Minshew.
He looks like a pirate. The mustache.
Bristling black. This might.
He
Come
might-
on,
he might-
Minshew.
He might be the nigga.
Come on, Mania,
Let's go.
please.
See, that's what I'm saying. This how it goes.
We need you.
This how it goes. You play this music, I start getting a little
Come
hype.
on.
Feels
Listen
a little
to this.
different.
Listen to the end.
Is a raider,
It's a Raider.
pillaging just
For fun.
He'll knock you round and upside down
And laugh when he's conquered and won. This is the first episode of the X's and O's podcast. I go by Avi. This is the most negative Raider fan in the world, Xavier, and we are out. We will see you guys on the next episode where we cover the first game, the first win of the season against the San Diego Chargers. Fuck that shit. LA's Raider shit. We better go up in our home stadium and win that game for LA.
We'll be undefeated next time I talk to you, so talk to me nicely.
Come on now.
Talk to me nicely.
I love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Peace.
Everywhere we go, I'm that nigga, me no disrespect. Everywhere we go, I'm that nigga, me no disrespect.